Germany's flagship airline says it made a profit of $1.6 billion last year.
Lufthansa says it also expects a significant boost to earnings in 2023 as air travel rebounds post-pandemic. The carrier says passenger numbers last year almost doubled from 2021, but still fall short of those before Europe went into lockdown. Shares jumped to a 3-year high on that news. Well, let's talk now to the independent air transport consultant, John Strickland. John, welcome back. Good to see you. So double passenger numbers last year, almost double revenues over the same period. It's not bad, really, for an airline that got bailed out by the German government 3 years ago. How did they turn it all around?
Yes, you're right. It was a very strong turnaround indeed, and we've seen similar results in recent days from Lufthansa's peer groups in the European airline industry. They addressed cost issues, of course, while the airline was grounded. They had to keep costs under control. As you said, they were bailed out or given support from the German government, indeed other governments supporting companies which are part of the Lufthansa group, for example, Swiss, Austrian and Brussels Airlines. But the market recovered very strongly during the course of summer last year. The big change was the return of the transatlantic market, which Lufthansa is a very active player in, which produce extremely strong traffic volumes. European traffic also, and particularly where they're exposed to their low-cost Eurowings, for a strong recovery in leisure travel around Europe. And what is particularly impressive for Lufthansa and other airlines is we're seeing really significant increases in average price paid. I mean, Lufthansa reported very high double-digit increases in average ticket prices. Putting that a little bit in context, of course, we did see higher fuel prices as well, but it was a positive result. But at the end of the year, Lufthansa itself, the German airline, actually lost money, so it's not quite there yet. The group as a whole did produce a profit.
It does, however, join a growing number of other airlines around the world. We've been reporting their rebound in air travel recently over the last couple of months. Has the pandemic cloud over the aviation industry finally lifted? Are you going to call it?
It looks like it's substantially gone, but of course one area where we still have some progress to make is Asia, and specifically China. We're now seeing optimistic signs about China opening up and traffic beginning to recover. Lufthansa has indicated that it will put flights back into China. We see booking interest from the Chinese market recovering. There's some imbalance there because the other factor we see, of course, is the Ukraine war playing out, which means that many flights to Asia would normally overfly Siberia, including those operated by Lufthansa. They can't do that because of the restrictions imposed by Russia for airspace access to European carriers. Chinese carriers, on the other hand, can do so. So that's going to be an interesting trend to watch how it plays out. And it does mean that Lufthansa is not back fully to 2019 capacity yet. Indeed, they've indicated for the year ahead they expect to be around about 85 to 90% of 2019 levels, which is actually lagging behind their peer group airlines IAG and Air France-KLM in Europe.
There's a little fly, of course, in the in-flight champagne at Lufthansa because the airline's come under fire, hasn't it, for its green credentials. Its green advertisements have just been banned in the UK for misleading the punters. What's that all about?
Yes, it's unfortunate. I think Lufthansa ran some advertising recently which the British regulator, the Advertising Standards Authority, was not happy with, showing a logo partly representing the world, partly representing an aircraft, and talking about connecting the world, protecting its future. The agency deduced that this was a type of greenwashing. It wasn't really fully recognising the challenge of emissions which is faced by the air transport industry, and of which, to be absolutely fair, there's an enormous amount of work going on to try to address this challenge. But they felt this was somewhat disingenuous, suggesting that all was rosy when it comes to air transport and the challenge of emissions. So they insisted that those adverts were withdrawn. I think Lufthansa will have to redouble its efforts in clear communication so everybody understands what the issues are at stake and what it is actually doing about it, which is indeed a great deal.
John, good to see you. Thanks for coming back on the programme. That's John Strickland, the air transport expert.